My doctor referred me to a clinic in Straubing, Germany, for a checkup in September 2009. In the intensive care unit, my heart was checked and a cardiac catheter was implanted. My heartbeat had stopped. After 30 minutes, I was resuscitated and placed into an induced coma. My body temperature had been purposefully reduced, and I'd been in this coma for 5 to 6 days. They then allowed my body temperature to restore to normal and awakened me up from the coma. It felt like an intense dream while I was in a coma and on the other side. I saw a lot of photographs and went to a lot of places. I met a lot of folks. Some I knew and some I didn't. They were conversing, laughing and sobbing. I had the impression that I could travel to other dimensions. I hadn't considered the employees or siblings who were visiting me. I was on a bed while on the other side, and doctors came to see me, but not the ones who were treating me in the clinic when I was in a coma. These were the same people I met last year when I underwent foot surgery. I stood behind the staff while I was being resuscitated. I didn't feel like flying above the clouds. I tried to gaze at myself via the spaces between the standing staff while I was outside of my body. On the other hand, ice crystals were forming on my fingers, which was not pleasant. I believe I had this experience when my body temperature was purposefully decreased. In my dreams, I also had visits from my employer and other people I recognized. On the other hand, I ended myself at a completely different clinic, one for 10 to 20,000 individuals. They were housed in halls, tunnels, and tents. The clinic had a railroad station and a truck parking area. The trucks were carrying pharmaceuticals and vitamins. Patients were being transported by trains. The tents in the sky were both deep red. White and steel blue were used for the buildings, trucks, and the interior design. I believe I recognized this location since I recognized 2 churches, one in Hengesberg and one in Niederaltaich, as well as the Bavarian forest. I was also in an unfinished attic. There were numerous rooms. There was a reception area, similar to those seen in hotels, and a large area outside for parades. I was also in a parking lot, a gym, and a cafeteria that was designed to seem like an arena. I also visited a rose garden. I met my wife in one of the rooms. We had direct touch, but we couldn't communicate information since we needed to hide from something. I'm not sure what that was. I also recall visiting other locations and rooms, but cannot recall the specifics. I know that employees came and went while I was in the coma. I recall a doctor holding my hands and telling me that my vital signs were fine and that she would see me again. Her presence was soothing. While the sun was setting, the sky was brilliantly crimson with yellow spiral clouds. I was hungry, but I forgot about it while staring at the sun. The same doctor returned, although she was a little late because she had a lot to do. A brother patient also paid me a visit and talked with me about the regulations. Then another brother paid me a visit. I told him I was insecure. He consoled me and assured me that everything would be fine. When I inquired about the first brother, I was told that he had visited me several times, but only briefly. A third brother came to see me once more and informed me that my wife was okay and that everything was fine. He eased and calmed me down. I saw him several times while visiting other patients. On the flip side, his only task was to make people happy. I noticed a garden complete with tables and seats. My Aunt Marie sat next to me and we talked for a long time. On the other hand, she appeared to be well educated. Yet, on Earth, she was a simple woman who worked hard physically but lacked a strong spirit mind. "You can't go like that," she told me. "You're now 50 years old and you must accept responsibilities." This was like a dream within a dream. I was at the railway station when I awoke from that dream and returned to the first. Nobody was looking after me. I had the impression that I'd been forgotten. I wanted to rush out of bed, force myself onto a train and flee. But then I remembered what my aunt had said about not being egotistical. I was rolled back into the halls and tents after the train had left. After the show, the location reminded me of an open-air concert. There was trash and dirt everywhere. The sky was overcast. I got separated from the others and fell asleep in front of what appeared to be a clinic. I suppose that it was at this point that I was resuscitated and then went into a coma, but I have no reason to believe so. Then I awoke in a corridor. There was nothing going on, and I rarely saw anyone. I dozed off. The windows were closed, and the sun blinds were drawn when I awoke. A marketer masquerading as a nurse handed me calcium medicine, which is costly. It was not anything I desired. The salesman shoved a spoonful of this unknown drug into my lips. It had a lemon flavor. I was irritated and I spat it out. Aylin, the translator, adds, "When I worked in the ICU as a nurse, we used wet and lemon-flavored sticks to clean the mouths of coma patients. I could hear music, either slow classical or amusement park noises. I was then placed in a modest room. Other rooms had art and images on the walls, which I saw. I also noticed the monks and brothers who were assisting in the ICU. I recall being cleansed and cared for by the medical staff. I know exactly what was done and in what order it was done. The nurses conversed with me and cracked a few jokes. They were always kind and explained what they were doing. I was not at ease and did not want to be cleaned by a young female. Later, I was assisted by a male nurse. I had a dream that I was alone at one point. The workers were in the room next to me, listening to music and not paying attention to me. My wife was attempting to get to me via the several rooms, but no one noticed her or me yelling and making commotion. Following that, I was in an attic with a man. He was a clinic patient who'd been injured while scuba diving. He was being decompressed. There were hard moments, but there were also good times. I recall the clinic being an old facility that had been refurbished during my time there. My visits to the clinic occurred while I was in a coma, not when I was being resuscitated. When I exited the train station, I believe my resuscitation was complete. Following that period, the images and colors became more realistic and less aggressively expressionistic. Angels surrounded me. I observed air moving like holograms while out visiting a restaurant, but I was actually still in the clinic bed. 6 of them moved at me at first, extremely hazy. I inquired what they desired. I received no response. They seemed to be guarding me. I was grateful, and I hope to see you again sometime. We're not done yet. After I left the facility, I spoke with them and pledged to aid persons with psychological issues and those who were dying. After I made that pledge, I felt a surge of warmth run through me. When I awoke from the coma, all of my memories from this side and the other were jumbled, maybe due to the medication I was taking. I recall a nurse coming in and turning off the monitoring, as well as removing my infusion bottles and cords. I believe they were abandoning me to die. I was calm and assumed it was all part of a dream that would soon end. They shoved me into a room. There was a bed with white sheets covering it. I believe a deceased person was lying there. The window was filled with a vivid rose color. Everything appeared to be surreal. I awoke in my usual room sometime later, and I called for a nurse and grabbed something to drink. I believe this was an interactive dream in which a nurse wanted to give me an infusion and medication. I'm not afraid to tell the male nurse. "You can't hurt. This is the Straubing Clinic," I exclaimed. I yelled at him because I still believe this is a dream. Because of the drug, I went through a period in which I confused reality, dreams, and hallucinations. My wife, sister and her husband, younger sister, and mother all paid me visits. This felt genuine. I believe this occurred 2 to 3 days following the coma.